If you're seeing this, don't scroll, because what happened on that Navy ship changed every life standing on its steel deck, and it all began with a joke that should never have been made. The wind was howling across the ocean that morning, and the sun hit the waves like broken glass, but even nature wasn't as tense as the atmosphere aboard the USS Liberty when a Navy SEAL, young, proud, and a little too confident, walked up to the quiet man pushing a mop along the hallway. "Hey man," the SEAL chuckled, nudging his teammate with an elbow, "what's your rank?" "Custodian first class." His voice echoed through the narrow corridor, the kind of joke meant to get laughs from those who never expected consequences. But the single dad janitor, a man named Daniel Hayes, just paused, lifted his eyes, and offered a small, tired smile, the smile of someone who had lived 100 lives more than the one he was currently in. Daniel wasn't offended. He had been mocked before. Life had been harsh long before he ever set foot on a Navy ship as a civilian contractor. At that moment, with cleaning gloves on his hands and a bucket at his side, he looked like no one important, just someone forgotten by the world. But deep down, behind the weariness in his face, was a story no one in that corridor knew. A story about sacrifices he never spoke of, battles he never bragged about, and choices that cost him more than any medal ever could. He quietly replied, "Just doing my job, son." His calmness only fueled the SEAL's boldness. "Come on, man," the SEAL pushed, laughing. "Everybody's got a rank. Even paperwork has rank. What about you?" Daniel didn't answer. He simply wrung out the mop and continued his work, moving with the steady rhythm of someone who understood the value of silence. But as he worked, he thought about his daughter, 12-year-old Emma, who was back on shore, sitting in her wheelchair, drawing pictures of ships he had promised to tell her about. She was the reason he took this job. She was the reason he kept going. Every paycheck went into saving for her therapy, for the surgery insurance refused to cover. The Navy ship didn't know it, but they owed Emma a debt. They had no idea who her dad truly was. Later that afternoon, the ship's horn bellowed, signaling the arrival of several high-ranking officers. Not just officers, admirals. All of them. Every admiral currently deployed in the region was landing on that very ship for an urgent briefing. The deck was alive with movement, sailors lined up, officers straightened their uniforms, and tension crackled in the air. Even the SEAL who made the joke earlier now stood at attention, his jaw tight. Daniel. He was wiping down railings, unnoticed, blending into the periphery as he always did. Until one admiral, a stern woman with silver hair tucked neatly inside her cap, stepped off the helicopter, paused, and slowly turned her head toward him. Her eyes widened. She blinked twice. Then her face softened in a way her crew had never seen. She whispered, "It can't be." Before anyone could process anything, the highest-ranking admiral aboard, Admiral Stone, followed her line of sight. His own breath hitched. Then another admiral looked. Then another. And then it happened. The first admiral stepped forward and saluted. Then the second. Then the third. Within seconds, every admiral on the ship, all of them, stood at rigid attention, their right hands rising to their brows in perfect unison. The deck froze. The crew stared. The SEAL who had made the joke earlier turned pale, his mouth falling open as if gravity failed him. Because admirals did not salute janitors. They did not salute civilians. They barely saluted each other unless under strict protocol. But they were all saluting him. Daniel Hayes didn't move. He looked confused, even uncomfortable, as if old memories he tried to bury were clawing their way back to the surface. Admiral Stone stepped forward, his voice steady but filled with sincere respect. "Permission to speak freely, sir." A wave of disbelief rippled across the deck. "Sir." Daniel swallowed, shook his head slightly, and whispered, "Please, don't do this." But they already had. Admiral Stone cleared his throat. "To the crew of the USS Liberty, you are standing in the presence of the most decorated covert operations officer in the history of the United States Navy. Former Commander Daniel Hayes. The man who saved more lives than anyone I've ever known, and the man who vanished from military records by choice." Gasps erupted. Someone dropped a tool. Another sailor whispered, "Commander." In pure shock. The young SEAL looked like the air had been stolen from his lungs. He wasn't laughing now. He was trembling. Meanwhile Daniel closed his eyes, not with pride, but with pain. Because this was the part he hated. The part where his past resurfaced. The part where the truth clawed at him. He had walked away from the Navy years ago after a mission went wrong, a mission that cost his wife her life. She wasn't military, she wasn't supposed to be in danger, but evil didn't care about collateral damage. After that day, he resigned, handed in every medal except the one his daughter once played with as a baby, and disappeared from records. All he wanted was to raise Emma, to honor the promise he made to her mother, "I'll keep her safe, no matter the cost." Admiral Stone placed a gentle hand on Daniel's shoulder. "Sir, you should have told us." Daniel shook his head. "I didn't want special treatment. I just needed a job. I needed to take care of Emma." The female admiral stepped forward. "Your daughter, she's the reason you declined reinstatement all those times." Daniel nodded. The admirals exchanged looks, serious, emotional, heavy with unspoken gratitude for who he once was, and who he still was. Then Admiral Stone turned to the SEAL who had mocked Daniel earlier. "Petty officer, step forward." The SEAL obeyed instantly, eyes cast downward. "Do you know who you disrespected today?" The SEAL's voice cracked. "Sir, I had no idea." "No, you didn't. But now you do." Daniel stepped between them. "He doesn't need punishment," he said softly. "He needs to understand that rank doesn't define worth. Not his. Not mine." The SEAL looked up, shocked by the kindness. "Sir, why didn't you tell us who you were?" Daniel sighed. "Because sometimes, the world listens more when you speak softly. And because people treat you differently when they think you're someone. I wanted to earn my place again, not through my past, but through who I am now." A silence followed. A deep one. The kind that forces everyone to rethink who they are and how they treat others. Admiral Stone nodded. "Then allow us to do what you earned, not through medals, not through rank, but through character." He turned to the crew. "Let the record show that Daniel Hayes will never be treated as anything less than the hero he is." The entire crew erupted into applause, raw, thunderous, real. Daniel's eyes filled with tears he tried to wipe away discreetly. Later, as he stood alone on the deck, staring at the sunset melting into the sea, the young SEAL approached him. No jokes. No arrogance. Just sincerity. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. Daniel nodded. "Apology accepted. Just treat people kindly. You never know what battles they're fighting." The SEAL swallowed hard. "Sir, if you ever need anything, my team and we've got your back." Daniel smiled. "Thank you. But the only person who really needs me is waiting at home." The SEAL nodded with respect now, not fear, not guilt, respect. As Daniel walked toward his quarters, the last rays of light painting the ocean gold, a sense of peace settled in his heart. For the first time in years, he felt seen, not because of who he used to be, but because of the man he had become. And if you're still here, listening to Daniel's story, then you already know the message: